everyone, welcome back to the channel. Glad you could join me. I hope you're enjoying your summer reading. I know I am. I wanted to talk today about Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz. This book is outside of my preferred genre, but I am definitely not opposed to reading books outside of my preferred genre. Typically I go for fantasy novels, but every once in a while I'll throw in a sci-fi, I'll throw in a mystery, I'll throw in something like this, a supernatural thriller type book. There's just so much to read, and it's a lot of times so hard to find something that you think might be good. I'm not one of those people who, if I pick up a book, I think this is awful, will I struggle to the end of it. I will put it down and go find something else. I do know people who, once they pick up a book, they've got to figure out how it ends, whether or not they actually like it. I'm definitely not one of those people. So when I see something in another media that piques my interest, sometimes I will track down the work it's based on, and that's what happened in this case. Dean Koontz wrote Odd Thomas, and there was a movie with Anton Yelchin. Unfortunately passed away before his time. And I watched the movie Odd Thomas. It piqued my interest. I enjoyed the movie, so I decided to track down the book it's based on. And I enjoyed the book too. There are a couple of things, like I said, there are a couple of books that I have picked up and read. The Jeeves and Wooster series. I first watched the show on public television. It stars Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry. Excellent comedic actors. Also pretty good at the drama too. But I watched that, and then I tracked down the books. The Witcher series, the video games intrigued me. Tracked down the books. There's a number of books that I've gotten into that way. Odd Thomas being one of them. So, Odd Thomas definitely has a strange name. He is in his 20s. He lives in a small town in California called Pico Mundo. His girlfriend is the manager of an ice cream parlor. Her name is Bronwyn Llewellyn, but she prefers to go by Stormy. She says that Bronwyn feels like an elf princess name, and so she prefers to go by Stormy. He is perfectly happy being a fry cook at a little diner in town, and he's a very good fry cook. He sometimes thinks that maybe he wants to get into tires or shoes instead. And he spends his time sometimes down at the tire store getting to know it and maybe thinking about getting a job there. The thing is that's not the end of Odd Thomas. If that was, that would be kind of boring. Odd Thomas can see the dead. And in this world, it's very much unlike the Sixth Sense. The people that Odd Thomas sees after they've died, they don't speak. And so they're completely silent. However, since he can see them, he can communicate with them to a certain degree. The book opens up with him seeing the ghost of a dead girl. And he gets impressions off of her. And through those impressions, he's able to figure out who it was that killed her and confront him about it. And he has details that he couldn't possibly know unless they were given to him either by the killer themselves or by the dead. Fortunately for Odd, the police chief in this little tiny town knows about his gifts and does his best to back up Odd. And keep him out of things when necessary. Find other evidence that they can use to figure out who did what and things like that. So he confronts the murderer, and he is able to then expose this person to the police, and the police get involved in everything, and that's the opening of the book. That's not the only thing that Odd can do. Odd can also see these best way to put it are these evil spirits. He calls them Bodaks. Not because that's what they are, but he met another person who was like himself. And this other person called them Bodaks, and so he picked up the name from that person. That person's life was ended much too quickly, and right after he admitted to Odd that he could see these things. So Odd tries his best to make sure that not too many people know about his gifts, and anytime he sees one of these Bodaks, he does does everything he can to make sure that that they don't notice him noticing them. Yes, I understand that's a little bit convoluted, but he tries to keep it on the down low as much as possible. There are some people that do know. His girlfriend, Stormy, as I said. Also the police chief in the town knows of his gifts. Well, he's at work, and this man comes in, and there's multiple Bodaks that are following him, that are clinging to him. He calls this guy Fungus Man because he doesn't know his name, and he can't think of anything else. And on top of that, he says that his hair makes him look like a mushroom. His hair, and and so he starts trying to figure out what this guy is up to, because Bodaks don't just show up. Bodaks follow pain and suffering, or the people who are going to cause others pain and suffering. So he thinks that, one Bodak is a bad omen. If I remember right, he saw 5 Bodaks clinging to this guy and following him around. And he said, that's so bad. That's a sign of an imminent bad thing happening in this little town. In fact, he finds out that that bad thing's going to happen in 2 days' time. He finds out it's set around in August. August 13th is when it starts, and he finds a page from the man's day planner. Basically, that's August 15th is when something's going down. So he takes it upon himself to keep an eye on this guy, tip off the police that this guy is in town, and then he may be, not so good and upright a citizen, and that there's something that may be going down on the 15th. As I said, I did like the book. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the plot and pacing. The characters, Dean Koontz did a good job in my estimation. Again, this is obviously it's all my opinion. He did a pretty good job bringing out the characters, and obviously there's going to be some 2D characters that are just kind of mentioned and thrown in there, but for the most part, the characters that are central to the story, he tries to throw in enough detail that you get to know them, and that you can figure out what's going on based on the interpersonal relationships between the characters and things. So I enjoyed that. One criticism I do have, the novel seemed overly wordy to me. Dean Koontz seemed to use 5 words when fewer would do. It seemed to somewhat harken back to the time of like Charles Dickens and James Fenimore Cooper, where the author was paid by the word. Not that it made the book unpleasant to read. I just noticed that it felt overly wordy. There you go. I recommend reading Odd Thomas. As I said, again, I don't particularly go in for this particular genre, but I found this a fun read, and I'm probably going to try to check out the other books in the series. I don't want to go into spoiler alert territory here, but don't necessarily think happy ending. That being said, let me know what you thought of Odd Thomas, whether you liked the book, the movie. As I said, I enjoyed both. There are differences. They did do in the final scene of the movie, they changed it from the book to make it a little bit more action oriented than it was in the book, but it was still pretty good. As I said, I enjoyed both. And on top of that, they did cut out 2 characters that were in the book that did not make it into the movie. So anyway, that's it. That's it for today. Let me know what you thought. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.